Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Pavon, and I am the Senior Manager for ACE Services with the National Propane Gas Association. And today I'll be covering what the ELDT regulation is, as well as what ACE Services is, and how you can get enrolled in it and how it may benefit you and your company. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, with the ELDT regulation. In February of 2022, the federal agency FMCSA came out with the ELDT regulation, or the entry level driver training. And this applies to any individual who's looking to get their CDL Class A, Class B, as well as hazmat. And as a part of this training, you basically now need formal training. So classroom training, behind the wheel training. There's also an online assessment that would need to be completed at the end of this training to show that you've met the requirements. And all of this needs to be done by a registered training provider. So in response to this regulation, the National Propane Gas Association created ACE Services, which is short for Administrative Compliance Experts. And since its inception in February of 2022, we've had over 4,000 enrollments across 42 states and 400 companies. We are registered with FMCSA, which means we are allowed to administer all of the training, handle any audits that may come down the line, handle the record keeping, reviews, and all of that, any additional item that may pertain to the ELDT regulation. We do offer this all online, and we offer resources so that you're able to do it in-house. This is one of the things that makes us a bit unique to other registered training providers, and I'll touch on that in more detail as I go through this presentation. So for the CDL Class A, we offer courses for the CDL Class A, Class B, as well as hazmat endorsement. As I mentioned, these are all online. So for the CDL Class A and Class B, it's made up of about 32 to 33 online modules. They each range between 7 to 30 minutes long. And there is an online assessment that you'll also need to take, which has a passing score of 80% or higher. And then there is a behind the wheel training component, and I'll also touch on that in a little bit. And then for the hazmat endorsement course, this one's a lot shorter. It's only 9 online modules, still range between 7 to 30. There's still an assessment for this. However, there is no behind the wheel training component required for the hazmat endorsement course. You do, however, need your CDL before you can actually complete the hazmat endorsement. That doesn't mean you can't start the modules, but in order for us to submit any information into FMCSA for the hazmat endorsement, you must first be able to provide your CDL. So this is an idea of what you would see when you are enrolled and you start the modules. All of our modules will be within the course once you are enrolled. Each module has sections. These sections do have to be completed before you can move on to the next. So there is no skipping. We want to make sure you are obtaining all of the information that's required for the ELDT regulation. And then at the end of each module, there will be summary questions. Again, we just want to make sure that you're retaining your understanding and you're ready for the assessment at the end and ready for the skills and written tests that you'll need to take at the state DMV. Just to clarify, the assessment at the end of the ELDT course that you'll take through our course does not mean you don't still have to go to the local DMV to take their skills and written test. So for the behind the wheel training component, again, as I mentioned, part of what makes us unique to other registered training providers is that you get to do this all in-house, meaning you don't actually have to send your drivers out to a brick and mortar school and spend thousands of dollars for them to get and meet this ELDT training. So for the theory portion, you would do that all online through online modules. Whereas for the behind the wheel training, while we don't actually provide the instructor or the instructing, we do provide the forms and checklists that cover all of the material that needs to be taught during the behind the wheel training. So if you have somebody on staff who has held their CDL for at least 2 years, they would be able to use our forms and checklists to guide the driver applicant through what needs to be covered. However, the individual who has held their CDL can only train for the class in which they hold their CDL. So if you have someone on staff who has held their CDL for at least 2 years in a Class B, they would only be able to instruct for a Class B. However, Class A can instruct for both Class A and Class B, again, using our forms and checklist. There's about 7 forms that need to be completed for the CDL, but the 4 that cover what needs to be taught or discussed during the behind the wheel is public road, range, facilities qualification, as well as equipment qualification. All of these forms will then need to be submitted into us for us to do the final review and make sure that nothing is missing so that we can then proceed to submitting this information into FMCSA. We also ask as an extra step, an extra measure, once you've identified the individual on staff who can serve as the behind the wheel training or trainer, that you just verify through the NVR that their CDL has been in good standing for at least the last 2 years. There are instances where individuals have maybe forgot to file medical cards, and that could cause a lapse in your CDL activity, or if it's been canceled or not. So just take that extra step to make sure that there's nothing wrong on the back end. So from start to finish, this is what the process would look like. So if you've hired an individual who is in need of their CDL and their hazmat endorsement, you would first want to get the driver, get your employee to go get their commercial learner's permit, because they will need that in order to do the behind the wheel training component. So once they have that, you get them enrolled into the course, and they'll get automatic access to the online theory modules, as well as the behind the wheel training forms and checklist. There is no order in which those 2 things need to be completed. So you can do one before the other or do them simultaneously. That will be up to you. But that also, allows you to save some time in order to complete this training. So there's also an assessment, as I mentioned. Once you complete all that, there will be an assessment at the end that will need to be taken. And then assuming that you get the deluxe package, which I'll touch on in the next slide, you would submit all of that information to us for us to review, make sure everything is good, and then we would submit the driver's information into FMCSA. They would then schedule their exam with the state to take their skills and written test to finally get their CDL. If they need their hazmat, once they've gotten their CDL, they would then go through the hazmat endorsement course. They would do all the modules, they would do the assessment. They would have to provide a copy of their CDL, and there's one form that they would need to sign off on. And then that would get uploaded as well. And then we would review that to then submit the driver's information again, but this time for the hazmat endorsement course, for the hazmat endorsement. So they would then have to go back to the state to get the endorsement added on to their CDL. Now in terms of packages, we do offer different packages. We offer CDL only, HME only. We also offer a bundled package of CDL and HME that saves you a bit of money. But for each one of those, we do have a basic and we have a deluxe package. The basic package basically gives you access to the theory courses as well as the forms and checklists, but that's where it ends. With basic, your company would then have to take on the additional extra steps to register with FMCSA, handle all of the administrative compliance matters, all the submissions, audits, and all of that. Whereas with the deluxe, you get access to the theory, to the assessment, to the forms and checklists, but then NPGA ACE would then serve as your registered training provider. So that means, again, we handle the FMCSA submissions, any audits, record keepings. We basically handle all of the administrative and compliance matters so that your company's sole focus will be to get your driver trained and on the road in a time-efficient manner. So the pricing for that as EMA members, this is a breakdown of each package. But at most, if you're hiring a new driver who is in need of CDL and hazmat, you're only coming out of pocket $740 for the deluxe package. When we started this, we looked at other registered training providers and we noticed that the price bumps up to $2, $3, $4,000, mostly because of the behind the wheel training component. But since you're able to do this in-house using our resources, our forms, our checklists, while we still serve as your registered training provider, we're able to cut that cost down. So you're able to do this at a very cost efficient price point. So again, $740 at most for CDL and HME. But if you just need CDL deluxe only, that's $620. HME only deluxe $275. And your driver will have 12 months to complete the course. After the 12 months, they don't have to pay the full fee again. It's just a reinstatement fee, and they'll get another 12 months added to that. Now, I do want to touch on that NPGA and EMA partnered together to be able to offer this service to their members. So EMA has been provided with a personalized link, which should be available to all of its members. But in the event that you end up on our website and you don't go through the personalized link, when you are on our website, we want to make sure that EMA gets credit for any members of theirs that use our services that aren't NPGA members. So when you're on our page, we ask you to please go to the ACE Network Partners tab where the arrow is pointing. It's the last green tab. And when you click on that, you'll see a few icons. Please click on the EMA logo. That will take you to the following page, the enrollment page, and this will auto-populate EMA as the ACE Network partner that referred you to our services. And on this tab, it'll have all the correct price points as well. So once you select the course that you're in, you'll then follow all of the prompts to fill out the driver applicant's name, the billing information, what course you'll be signing them up for. The highlighted areas on top, when you go through the EMA logo, it auto-populates what needs to auto-populate so that EMA, again, gets credit for the members that use our services. As a tidbit, you can enroll up to 5 drivers at the same time if you're signing them up for the same course. So they can all be added to the same purchase order. If it's different or more than 5, you'll just have to do those individually. But you'll just follow the prompts. And once you get to the bottom and you put in the payment information and you click enroll, the person doing the enrollment will receive a receipt of this enrollment. And then the driver applicant will receive an email with their login information and letting them know what the courses that they have been enrolled for. If for whatever reason these emails do not reach you, please feel free to reach back out to us. We'll make sure everything is good on the back end and send you any notifications or emails that you need. But once the driver is enrolled and they are logged into their account, everything that will be needed will be within the course that's been provided or the course that they've been enrolled for. So we try to make it as easy and simple as possible. This is a screenshot of the hazmat endorsement because it's shorter, so I was able to fit it on the screen better. But you'll see all the modules are listed. And then at the bottom, there's a hazmat. And then where the arrow is at is the documentation upload portion. So that's where you would go to upload any documentation or CDLs or commercial learner's permit that we need to review. That's where it will go. All of the forms that will be required will be on the right-hand side. You see there's one hyperlink because this is just the hazmat course. Had this been a screenshot of the CDL course, you would see about 7 hyperlinks on the right-hand side. And those would be all the forms that would need to be filled out, checked off, signed off on for upload for us to review. Now, as you are submitting these forms in for the driver, we do get notifications every time we receive an upload. So another key point to our services is that we try to keep the ball rolling as quickly as possible to also help you get your drivers on the road in a timely manner. So we do get notified every time a form is uploaded. We try to review those as quickly as possible as they come in case there is any additional information that's needed, revisions, something's missing, anything like that. You do have the opportunity to correct those and re-upload for us to review again. And as I mentioned, once all of this is done, the theory modules, the behind the wheel training component, then we're able, and the review has been done and everything looks good and completed, then we would submit the driver's information into FMCSA. The driver would then be able to go to the state DMV, and they'll be able to locate the driver's name and information to show that they have completed the ELDT and can now sit for the state exam. So before I close out, I just want to leave you guys with some testimonials from three of our companies that have used our services from the beginning back in February of 2022 and still continue to use it heavily right now. So Steve Saxon, the safety director with Foster Fuel, said, while our team focuses on behind the wheel training, we know that ACE will be there for all of our online training and compliance needs. Travis Nicholson, safety and risk coordinator with Co-Alliance, mentioned, well, rather Keystone Cooperative now, mentioned, we found the program to be easy to navigate and allows our employees to work at their own pace to complete all tasks. And Dale Beck, Energy Department Manager with CHS, said, to me, signing up for the ELDT and utilizing the ACE program is a no-brainer. Simple, straightforward, and no record keeping for a very reasonable cost. Why would any company want to do it any other way? So with that, I leave my last slide. Our main website is listed right there. Again, I mentioned EMA does also have a personalized link that they can provide for their members to make sure you're going through the auto-populated page. If not, and you're on our page, just go to the ACE Network tab on the right and then click on the EMA logo and it'll do it for you as well. Our general inbox is right there. My email is there, as well as Chrissy Artis, who also handles the day-to-day reviews. So she would be a good contact point for any questions that you may have on your own related to your company or a driver or any specific questions. So while I leave that up for a few minutes, does anybody have any questions? Not sure if
Andrea, we had one there. If the driver fails any of the tests, can they retake it no additional cost?
Okay, so the online assessment for the online assessment through the ELDT course, they can take that as many times as they need to. We typically don't see anybody needing them more than 2 times, and sometimes that's just to better their score, but usually it's no more than 2 times that's needed. As far as the state goes, that would be a state decision.
There was another question about from a state association exec in New York, the Empire State Energy Association. She asked if she could get a list of any of the members that possibly have already signed up with the program. I know there's some overlap with NPGA and EMA members. Of course, you guys do propane. Most of our members are doing gas and diesel fuel, but some do propane. So technically, they're members of NPGA if they do propane. But is there a possible way to get maybe a list
of our New York users? I'd have to see. I mean, I know I can pull companies. I have to see what information I can pull or see how we can compare the list. But yeah, if you just shoot me an email, I can see what I can do and what information I can pull.
No, that sounds good. Well, this seems like a no-brainer. When you guys pitched this to me several months ago, this is wonderful. I think this will be a big help for our membership, and I think it's a slam dunk. So we will be, we were recording this webinar, so this will be going into our newsletter for everybody on the call, so you can share this with your members. But on top of that, we'd love to have you back, though, Andrea, though, at our meeting in May, our fly-in. We have about 300 marketer members from across the country. So we will definitely give you another opportunity in the future to pitch this, because I think this is a huge thing for this industry. And hats off to NPGA. Y'all done a great job. And we're very, very pleased with the way this program's done, what y'all have done so far. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the folks that are on the call. I will follow up with in our weekly review tomorrow with this recorded webinar, and then you guys can take it from there, share it with your members. And if you have any questions, you know who to go to there at NPGA with Andrea. She can answer all your questions, or come to me and I could sort of facilitate that as well. So thank you so much, everybody. We're going to go ahead and end this webinar and have a great rest of the week.
Have a great day. Thank you.